Hi there, welcome to the Teeny or Tinkers channel where we talk about dolls, crafts, and other things, and the background doesn't matter. That's right, the background is like Tech Bro's opinion of what I'm going to say in this video. Also, that was a Whose Line Is It Anyway reference. I don't know if that was a thing anywhere else in the world, but that was a thing in Canada. But anyways, I am knitting this little sweater. I have been working on this little sweater for a couple days. This little sweater is actually going to be part of a knit with me video where we walk through the pattern. So yeah, if you want to learn how to knit the little sweater I'm making, there will be a tutorial next week. If you're new to knitting, you'll want to learn basic stitches first, because I'm not going to teach you how to do the stitches. It's just knitting and purl stitches, but yeah, it's knit flat, super easy. But anyways, this is not that. Today, we are having introspective craft time. It's been a minute since we've had an introspective craft time. I don't know, I can't remember what the last one was about. This is basically just like, I'm hanging out, I'm doing some kind of crafting. Today it's knitting a doll sweater. Maybe I get tired of knitting the doll sweater and pick up something else, who knows? Who knows, but we're going to craft, and I'm going to talk about opinions, feelings, that kind of thing. I don't know, it's like a little topical maybe. It's like kind of general topical, but I just want to talk about like being an artist in the AI bubble and the rise of AI and how I feel about it and what I think about it. But again, remember, I am but one person with one person's opinion. And if you have a different opinion, that's okay. And you can respectfully talk about your opinion in the comments. That's fully fine. We can have a discussion. I'm cool with that. I like having discussions. I like having general debates about things, as long as we're not talking about people's human rights and stuff. I'm not into that. This is something I've been kind of thinking about, stewing about, pondering about for a while. I mean, the AI, what I think is like the AI bubble started maybe, I mean, it's been happening, but I feel like it's really taken off in the last like 6 to 12 months maybe. I know it really started kind of picking up a few months after I became a full-time artist, which is like perfect timing, honestly. Perfect luck, perfect timing. But I've been frustrated for a few reasons. I mean, like, when I thought about AI and what I was promised AI would be, I mean, like, if you think about movies we used to watch, if we think about the way in, like, the 2000s, wow, we talked about AI and what it was going to be and what we wanted for it. When we think about, like, talking, like, I think about, personally, talking robots that, like, cleaned your house, or, like, made your food, or, like, cars that talked to you and drove you to work. Like, that is the future we were promised, where AI and robots and computers were meant to take sort of the automation of repetitive tasks, things that, like, it makes sense that they would do, because AI is basically like machine learning, right? So it's just, like, to my knowledge, finding patterns and efficiencies, connecting dots, like, it's just like a pattern identifier and efficiency machine. That's AI. It's not really intelligent. It's a pattern recognition software. I think, like, that's my understanding of it. And I think that the goal of that was that people were going to be able to have these, like, innovative, creative, happy, healthy, fulfilling lives, because creativity and innovation, like, are something that you need to have time and space for when you try and force creativity into like a set time span, or like sit down like, I'm going to make this art right now. That's where you run into things like art block and stuff. So I think the idea was we were supposed to have all of these other 10 million daily concerns off our minds so that we could focus on the stuff we wanted to do, which for I think a lot of people is art and creating and innovating, and not just like in art, in like science advances and stuff like that. Because realistically, AI isn't innovating or creating, it's recognizing patterns. It can only work off of what humans have already fed it and what data it already has access to. And yes, it's a lot of data, and yes, it's really, there are really good practical uses for machine learning and all of this. But like, this is not what we were promised. Personally, like, I'm a little perturbed that we're all toiling away doing manual labor, and the robots and the computers are writing the music. They are making the art. Like, what is happening? With things like social media, I feel like it's pretty well understood by people now that on free or / unpaid social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, maybe Twitter. I don't know if Twitter's paid now. I've never actually had a Twitter. I never used Twitter. But anyways, the idea being that you are the product because they're like showing you ads constantly. The idea is you're being inundated with like a giant interactive billboard constantly. But it's like now all of those platforms are also making like you the product in more ways than that. Not only in that they're trying to sell to you constantly, but in that anything you make and post on their platforms is now like fair game for them to train their AI models on and to like spit out graphics or like images, art, the captions. I think they can even like steal the captions, which is like a choice. And that's really frustrating because like with social media, like the whole point is like community and connecting. At least that's why I post on social media. But like now it's like, okay, I want to post because I want to like get my art in front of people, but also like be involved in the community, but also like now I'm consenting to everything being like taken and used for whatever they feel like using it for. And it's like, I don't know. It's like on that front, I think I need to look into like, I know AI distortion is a thing. It's like a filter or something you can put on top of your images to make it really hard for any of the systems to like read them or like use them properly. Like it can create like issues with their outputs, and I mean that I'm game for that. I need to practice using them, I think, on all of my images going forward and find that balance between making the filter or the overlay strong enough to distort your image without absolutely devastating the quality of it. Although Instagram does a good job of devastating the quality of your photos anyway, so. Because yeah, I've already been not super posting on Instagram just because like reach on Instagram is trash, but it's like, now I'm just like, I only really post on YouTube and then I post on my TikTok sometimes, but not even steadily. Because I don't know, guys. But I think it's not all doom and gloom. Like, I see so many people say there's no point in getting into art because, like, AI is just going to take all the jobs anyways, because there's no future here, because it's devastating to work really hard on a piece only to have it, like, chopped up into the data soup that is, like, these image generators. I have such a hard time even saying generating because it's not really generating. It's just Mod Podging. It's like making a collage almost. Like it's patterns in images of that thing and putting it together. Like, that's all it is. It's not like an all-powerful thing. And it's not, in my opinion, going to be able to replace what people do. Like, one example I can think of for myself is like what I'm going to call like creative destruction. So sometimes when I'm creating, I go in with an idea of what I want to make. And as I'm making the thing, it's not maybe coming out how I want, or the picture in my head or the 2D drawing I did is not translating the way I wanted it to in 3D. And I'll get like kind of annoyed because I do that. I'll get like the ADHD rage at it sometimes, or I'll just get mad. And I'll like step away or whatever. Or I'll just start like mishmashing it to like say like, well, I've ruined it. Let's just see what I can do to make this look good. And most of the time that results in like like a fun little practice session. But like sometimes it comes out and it's like one of my favorite things I've made. And that's something that AI really can't do. It can't make something bad realize it's not going the way it wants it to, and then like make something even better out of the original. It can only work off a prompt. It can only work off human intervention, I guess, in that way. But like, this is actually how I got Clover. Clover was not intended to be like a little pig. She was going to be like a kid, like USD, and then she just ended up being a pig, and she's one of my favorite things I've ever made. And like, she's adorable. Like, I don't think anybody can, well, somebody can, but she's adorable. Yeah, like I said, I feel like the rise in all of this was really about maybe a year ago. And it was about a year and a half ago where I started pursuing art full-time, which took like a lot of courage, like on my part. Like, I'm not saying it always does, but it was very stressful leaving what felt like at the time a very stable career, to hop in and try and follow my dream. It's in a world where everything is productivity and everything is a hustle. It's stressful. But thinking back, even before I left, so I was working in essentially, I've had very convoluted job titles, because the jobs I had before being in art were kind of the same in a way as being like an artist and business owner, where I wore many hats all the time. So I did marketing, I did customer retention, I did knowledge management, I did like basically like graphic design, I did like social media, I did a bunch of stuff, but like for software, which is like a whole different beast. And at the time when I left, it was like, oh, this feels like kind of a secure thing to be doing because I was wearing so many hats. But now when I think about it, pretty much every hat I was wearing is a hat that a lot of these software and tech companies, the same ones that are making the AI products and the like all the automations, it's the same ones making it who are also firing off their employees and replacing them with AI and bots. So really none of us were safe, I think. My entire department pretty much left, and I don't know that they ever replaced any of us. I don't know. I haven't peeked in on them, but that's basically what's happening too. If you like look at what's happening in tech, I know that's not exactly what we're talking about, but if you look at what's happening in tech, it's a lot of huge rounds of layoffs with not hiring the people back. The only teams that are safe are like the legal teams, AI teams, basically. Like everybody else, we'll see what happens. And it's really putting people in a spot where not only is the cost of living absolutely ridiculous in a lot of parts of the world, where I live included, but it's also too many workers for the amount of jobs in those fields. I know part of it is because AI is much cheaper than a person. I mean, you get what you pay for, but like, AI is much cheaper than a person, but also, like, I feel like it's another way to make sure that they're not having to pay as much for salaries, like, because if there's less jobs and more people, like, it's just not, like, people who draw or paint or whatever, who are being affected. It's, like, graphic designers, writers, marketers, I think even maybe developers, musicians. Oh my god, do you know how like annoying it is to be scrolling on TikTok? Right there. That's the annoying part. And you think you found like this really funny sound. Like, do you remember how like very millennial this is, but people would like songify things like texts or like memes or whatever, and they would like auto-tune it to crap and turn it into a song. And it was just like a silly little thing that we did. It's like, I'll think it's that, and then I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. And then I find out it's it's not like a person songifying it. They just put it into some kind of like generator or something, and it made the song. And I'm like, that sucks. Like, I don't want to enjoy that. I don't want that to be like, so it's so much of the sounds on TikTok now are just AI generated, and I'm just like, get it out of here. Like, no, I don't want it. I want to go back to the days where that one guy was doing that, like, is this available? Yes, it is, like the Facebook posts, and like actually writing masterpieces to sing along to it. Like, that's, bring that back. That's where it's at. But yeah, it's everything. It's art design, logos, making business cards. It's making everything. It seems like some companies just really care less about having a good finished product. It's more about like, oh, we got the general vibe across and it looks quasi-professional, like very like good enough. But that's where you'll see, I've seen even like art institutes on their websites advertising their art courses, like their whatever, like graphic design or whatever. They'll have AI generated images on the pages advertising, and it's like there were people right there. Like, there were people right there. Something I remind myself of is that with things like, you'll see like an ad for Sora, which is like a video generation, allegedly. And it'll say like, it can make like hyper realistic, photorealistic video. And it'll show like a prompt where it's like woman walking in like Japanese street or something. I can't remember what the prompt was. And it'll show this like hyper realistic woman, and it's like, stress, holy crap, if all you have to type in is woman, hyper realistic woman walking down a street in Japan or whatever it was. To get like a video, like would they ever need actors again? Would they ever need like the people who do special effects? Like, will they ever need that again? They'll never need to like have set designers again. They'll never need costume designers again. They'll never need lighting people or like people with boom mics or like whatever. But like, also then if you really look into it, you'll then see people sharing, like the example on that one is, it really looks like that ad for Sora was designed by like just feeding the generator a stock image, like a stock video, and having it adjust it slightly, because the stock video is 95% the same. So I mean, you know, I think it's important to remember that kind of thing, that when you see ads for these programs, that they're not doing what they say they're doing. They need their shareholders to think they're doing. They need people to think they are doing what they say they're doing, and they need shareholders to think they know, like, they're doing what they say what they're doing. Because in the end, they're just trying to boost stock prices, and it's all like short-term gains. I think another good example of this is if you heard about Amazon saying that they had these like Amazon shops, like in-person shops, where you could walk around and the AI in the store would know everything you put in your basket, like your physical basket, and you were carrying around the store, and it would just automatically charge you on the way out. It was like going to revolutionize how people shopped, and it was like, ooh, that's amazing. Like, and then it just turned out to be like thousands of people watching people on cameras. So it's like, I feel like that is so much more expensive than just having people cash things out. So that didn't go anywhere, but it was like a lot of it's just a farce. I think a lot of it's like a lie or an exaggeration, and that doesn't mean that the technology is not going to get there. It means it's not actually there, but they're trying to convince people that it is there. So just keep that in mind if you're feeling really scared seeing something like Sora or like ChatGPT or something, like writing someone's whole like essay or something, or somebody's like people saying they're gonna like write a book with ChatGPT. It's like, it's gonna be the worst thing you've ever read. Like, it's not gonna be good. It's going to definitely be plagiarized. Like, it's definitely pulling from somewhere. I don't know. I feel like there's a balance between being aware of what it's doing and what it can do and what it might mean for the future of art. So you have time to adapt or to plan or to, and I'm not saying like I have it figured out. I'm just saying like, I think we have time to figure it out, you know? Because AI at this point for image generation still doesn't understand hands or how legs work, how movement works. It doesn't understand how people eat spaghetti. And I wonder like how many of these tech giants are exaggerating how much their product actually does, or can do, or will be able to do, and why the push is so hard right now. I wonder if part of that might be because they know that what they're doing is like not only technically flawed, but ethically flawed, which they don't care about, but I think they're going to be eventually legally flawed. Unfortunately, the experience has been that digital and online and cyber security, bullying, privacy, like those laws always seem to be too far behind the technology. And I hope that that remedies soon. Because like, yeah, AI art is just AI art, AI writing. It's all just like other people's work in a blender. So like, hopefully copyright laws catch up. Like maybe there'll be things like people, I know Disney already has no qualms against like suing AI art of their work, like people who make it or whatever. And then it's like, there can also be things like unfair advertising laws, because I see people generating like food images, like, which I'm pretty sure isn't, I think that would not be legal, because I know that you're not even supposed to use CGI. I'm pretty sure you're not even supposed to use CGI on food images when you're trying to sell that food item. That's why they do all these like weird little tricks, like glue instead of milk in the cereal. But I think they're not allowed to misrepresent the food itself, like the thing you're buying. I believe, I'm not fully up to date on that. But anyways, I hope that that kind of thing comes into play as well. But yeah, as it stands, I don't believe that anyone can consistently replace human creativity and art with AI or CGI or whatever. It's AI. But yeah, most of AI output still requires an editor this day and age, and that typically means like some kind of cleanup or work from an actual human. And the concern for me is that this means less jobs. Doesn't mean no jobs. It just means like part of the work is done. But the other thing to remember is that because AI is just a data feed, that's why do you think so much of the AI art that comes out, it's so easy to spot the styles? And that's because it's looking for patterns and it's mishmashing, and AI, like, I think I'm thinking of it like, this is way less, but say there's 100 images, there's 100 art pieces it's pulling from. And from those 100 art pieces, it's able to mishmash together 5 new art pieces or art styles. And then from those 5 art styles, it's going to like make another 50 images. So now there's 150 images. Like, this is not the numbers, okay? So you got 150 images, and now it's using those 150 images, 50 of which are already AI mishmash, to make more images. And now it's like, okay, now we've got 4 more styles, but they're all heavily influenced by this. And then they've made 100 more images, and now over 2/3 of the images that are being used to make new images are just AI mishmash. And it's just going to like, yeah, that, I don't know. That seems to be, that's what I think might happen. I think the other consideration is, currently, at least, I think it's only really affecting the digital arts, which is, in this day and age, a lot of different kinds of art. It's, you know, digital artists, musicians, anything that works in a digital format. But AI isn't creating in fibers, ceramic, clay, paint, so traditional art is still not touched by it, which is nice. And on that note, I have noticed like kind of an uptick in people like showing interest towards traditional art or artists in that way, or even towards digital artists who like show their process more. People in the art community seem to have really banded together around artists and away from digital artists. I think it's the consumers of art that are the concern, and not so much other artists. I feel like the number of artists who are going to use AI and like claim it as their art are not as much as we think. There are going to be a lot of non-artists or consumers of art who see it as a cash grab or a get-rich-quick scheme, and I think it's going to maybe work for a while. I think we're in that bubble right now where people are doing that, but I think long-term, like I said, I think it's just going to ruin itself. And the people, if you're not making art and you're not practicing art, you don't know what good art is sometimes, or you don't know what mistakes there are. Like, that's why you see people post images where the hands are all messed up or whatever, or where it's very obviously AI. And eventually I think they'll get to a point where, or I hope that they get to a point where people realize, oh, well, that's not good. I'm not into that. And they just naturally veer away from that. AI doesn't self-correct the way people do. They can't scrutinize their own work. If an AI makes a horrible picture that makes no sense or is the way it is, it can't critique its own work. It can't go, that doesn't look right, and then turn it into something better or scrap it. It needs a human to tell it what to fix. And even then, it's not always so great at figuring out what that tweak means without adjusting the entire image or without ruining something else in the picture. Like, it's just not there. It's not doing that yet. I think how I'm choosing to look at it is sort of how I think about recasting and art theft in general. Someone who is going to pay an artist or commission somebody or purchase like a ball jointed doll, like what I make, was probably not going to use the AI art or buy a recast. Because AI art, I hate even calling it AI image generation, like recast dolls or art theft in general, has a lot of downsides. And the people who don't care about those downsides are going to be the people consuming the recast or consuming the AI products. Because if they don't care about the issues, technical flaws, ethical concerns, I don't think they were going to care, or the ones who didn't know have the chance to learn and then support real artists. So that happens a lot as well. So I think it's the people who were going to consume that probably either didn't know that's what it was, which is, I think that's my one irritation, is not everybody can spot AI art, and the people who can't can be duped into purchasing or supporting those artists, and that's extremely unfortunate, especially if they are like very pro artist in general. Like, it's not great. But yeah, anybody who wants something commissioned, something drawn in a specific style, who wants something to directly support an artist, like a human, wants to see something new or whimsical or innovative, I think they're going to keep buying and supporting human art. I just think that there's an adaptation process we're going to have to go through. I think video didn't kill radio. Radio is just, I mean, there's still radio, but there's also like podcasts and streams, which are like, I think, modern radio. Photography didn't kill portraits. Yes, there's less people painting like family portraits of people, like versus like Renaissance England. Photography served as better reference photos and like better snapshots and all that for like traditional painters anyways, so they were able to figure out how to use it as a tool to make their own art better. Digital art, I think this is the most recent one. Digital art did not kill traditional painting, the same way that 3D sculpting did not kill traditional sculpting. They're simply different, and neither is better than the other. And yeah, any of us are going to, all I know is that like humans and people and artists, if we allow the mindset that AI is going to end art or like ruin art or make us obsolete, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way, because by repeating that to people and spreading that mindset and believing it yourself, you're causing less people to take an interest in art or to see the point or to want to create. It's very defeatist. And by having less people creating and making, there's not going to be, the issue isn't going to be whether or not people should support humans over AI. It's going to be whether or not there are any humans in art left to support. But yeah, that's the end of this rant. I've pretty much finished this sweater. If you want to learn how to knit that, check out next week's video. Thanks for hanging out with me for this introspective craft time. I don't know if this was interesting to anybody, but there's, again, just my opinions, and I don't know everything. So if you have anything to add, please let me know down in the comments and we can have a discussion. But for now, if you're already subscribed, thanks so much for subscribing. If you're new here, I hope you like the content, which is typically cheerier than this. But yeah, and you might consider subscribing. As always, I hope you have a fantastic day.